Journalist David Axe recently visited Kabul, the capital of Afghanistan, and Tarin Kot in the country's southern region. While there, he looked at police corruption.
خپل مول د بل ځای شکول له پایڅونه پتلون راوتلی ول او دلته د درشي مرمدله د شپې موټر شکي د ورځې براله بین المللي غلا کوي چې لسګونو شلای او پنځایل موټر ناخلي نو له ټول نه له دغه د لار له پولیس نه غلا بل څوک نه دي ټول پولیس دي پوه بل څوک لانس کولای د بل څوک لانس کولای د
It's graduation day at Afghanistan's National Police Academy in Kabul. 500 new officers are getting ready to serve their country. So is this the force to bring law and order to Afghanistan?
Kabul is the capital of Afghanistan. It's got about 3 million people. It's up in the northeastern part of the country, and it's sort of lies in a dusty bowl surrounded by mountains. Kabul is it's a typical third world capital in a country occupied by an international coalition. Conditions in Kabul are far better than in most of the country, owing largely to the presence of so many thousands of UN, EU, NATO, US NGO people, so many foreigners in Kabul that who are spending so much foreign currency that the standard of living is pretty high compared to the rest of the country. And a lot of the folks in Kabul who work in the service industries provide services actually to the internationals. So it's a pretty lavish place by their restaurants, their hotels, there's even nice little cafes with wireless internet. Now, most of these things are outside are beyond what the average Afghan can afford, but for the journalists and the aid workers and for the people in the Afghan government, they're certainly affordable. And it's hot in the summer, actually not terribly hotter than Washington, D.C. The average Kabul resident is not worried about a suicide bombing or some terrorist attack. Those things happen in Kabul. They're extremely rare. They do happen. Security to them means, can they trust their own local policemen? And most of them don't. And the number one complaint in Kabul is targeted at the police. Police stop cars randomly and demand bribes, basically, to let them go. People will get arrested for really no reason and hauled down to the station and won't be released until their relatives pay a huge fee. Police throw up checkpoints, and anybody who passes through who doesn't belong to their tribe, again, gets fined. There's a long list of things that police do to make everyday life in Kabul really hard for, especially for people who are on the roads. The underlying problem is that the police force in Kabul has a great deal of power, but also is paid extremely poorly. So he supplements his income by shaking down motorists and randomly arresting people and inventing charges that they have to pay their way out of. And this is Afghans' number one complaint, that they just can't go about their daily lives without interference from the police.
Afghan police carrying out a daring raid on the Justice Ministry in Kabul. 5 armed men holed up inside fire from the windows, but they are quickly overwhelmed and the trapped civilians released. Set to dramatic music, this is the view of the police that the Interior Ministry is eager to promote.
This is the important picture where the police is getting into the ministry through a window without considering any threats. It shows how brave they are.
The truth behind the veneer is more sobering. 26 died in this attack in February last year, among them police officers. Today, on the same street where the raid took place, the promotional film has failed to convince.
If they were as good as all that, then how did those lunatics manage to get into the ministry so easily? Aside from that, a lot of innocent civilians have died right here on this street.
Lots of them have criminal connections. They take bribes, and that's why they can't help us. If we could train good police officers, then maybe things would improve.
And that's exactly what this Kabul Police Academy is trying to do. 4,000 men have already been through the training from the European police force EUPOL. The new Obama administration believes that a large increase in officer numbers and bolstered efforts to stamp out corruption are the key to improving security in the country. For the moment, though, training staff have their work cut out.
You know, it needs a lot of time to teach them. It's not so easy to teach them. At first, you have to see this level of them. It's not at the same level like in Europe. And then you have to translate. This needs a long time.
Yet it's these raw recruits who will soon graduate into a world of considerable responsibility, not least to ensure security during Afghanistan's presidential elections in August.
These were the three men who were three armed robbers suspected from last night's raid. They've just been brought into custody to come and have an interview with the general. Throughout the interrogation, the three men claimed they were totally innocent and that police planted the weapons on them. At the end of the day, it's the police's word against theirs. General Paktiawal decides who is telling the truth. His decision is final. Public trust in the Afghan police is extremely low, with critics accusing them of both corruption and brutality. But there's no doubting the 82,000-strong force risked their lives. Throughout Afghanistan, around 1,400 policemen were killed in 2008, 4 times the number of Afghan soldiers. And without a competent police force, there is little chance of stabilizing the country. Both the US and the European Union are funding new police reforms, spending over $3 billion on training, mentoring and equipment. But it's not enough to create a fully modern force. Shamtu is a promising young CID investigator working under the general. He's already seeing some improvements, but he hopes for a lot more.
Now I have the computer, also the camera, but he having the new technology. Example, here is a computer, but full time he does not connect it to the internet. ما تقاضا میکنیم از تمام کشورهایی که دست به استعانت ما دادن یا کمک به ما میکنن که تا در راستای بازسازی پلیس افغانستان یک انرژی کاملا